So you want to build a private lesson teaching studio in 2021. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm just Voigt-Page, and this is the second time that I've recorded this because the first time I didn't record any sound along with my video. Nailed it. Before we do anything else today, I want to invite you to go and click that subscribe button right now. I usually ask at the end, but I'm going to be releasing a whole bunch of new content for music career building and music business building over the next year, and I do not want you to miss out on any of it. So go and click that subscribe button right now. I'll wait for you. I realized the other day that 2021 marks the 15th year of me running my own private lesson teaching businesses. And I decided that in honor of this, I wanted to do something a little differently today. I know we're all at different stages of our career journeys, but I wanted to create a video outlining what I would do if I was starting a private lesson teaching business from scratch in 2021, knowing what I know now. So if you are looking to build your own private lesson teaching studio in 2021 at some point, or you already have a studio and you're just a little bit curious about what I have to say, welcome. This video is for you, and let's get to it. Before doing anything else, the very first thing that I would be looking to do if I was building out my studio in 2021 would be to figure out what in the world I'm going to teach. This is often called finding your niche, and that's essentially figuring out what your specialty is. I would want to figure out what is it that I want to teach and how can I position myself as an expert in that. So whether that's being a general woodwind teacher, or for me a saxophone teacher, or getting even more specific and figuring out what kind of saxophone teaching I can do. So is that middle school or high school? Is that college? Is that jazz? Is that not jazz? The more specific I am with what it is that I do, the more clearly I can describe it to the people that I'm trying to recruit, so my students or their parents. The more clearly I can explain what I'm doing, the easier it is for them to understand that I'm an expert, and that way it's much easier for them to feel good about giving me their money for my services. Being an expert in teaching online is something that I don't think any of us felt was going to happen ever. If I was starting my studio in 2021, this would be an area that I would look into embracing rather than shunning at the earliest opportunity. I don't even know where I went with that. In 2021, if I was looking to build out my studio business, I'd want to make sure that I was super familiar with not only the area that I live in, but also the demand for the services that I'm offering. Are there other people offering the same thing in the area? Is the market saturated? Is there a demand for it? Because if not, I'm going to have a really hard time finding students no matter how good I am at what I do. If I find that there really isn't a need for what I'm offering, I've got two options. It's either I need to create the market for myself, which is going to take a lot of time and a lot of energy and probably a lot of money, or I need to redefine what it is that I'm offering so I can fit that marketplace. If I do have to go back to step one and reevaluate what I'm willing to teach, I'm going to go with what I'm good at and expand from there. I'm not just going to willy-nilly pick things out of the blue and hope that they fit. I am still going to be strategic about it because I still want to be an expert and I still want to develop that reputation and that ability to offer services that I'm capable and good at offering. Now that I know what I'm going to be offering because there's a need for it and it's within my specialty, I'm going to want to set up some systems to get my business butt covered. There are a number of processes that go into this stage, and what I want to do is make sure that I am taking care of business right from the beginning so that when I get students, I can just input them into my systems rather than having to build each time I get a new student. And these are going to be things like figuring out what my business name is going to be, figuring out what my business entity is going to be. If I need to, I'm going to be registering my business, and then digging into things like having systems for my accounting, so my taxes, banking, all of that, and also studio registration systems. One of the things that I will 100% do every single time is work with a music studio management software program. I use mymusicstaff.com, but there are a ton of different options out there, and I absolutely recommend this because it helps figuring out things like how to do invoices and keeping track of all of your expenses and income and all of that in one handy place. When I first started my business, I had to ask my dad to create my first invoice because I had no idea how to do it, which was super embarrassing. So really here, what I'm trying to do is make sure that I have everything set up from the back end so that when I do get a student, I can just plug them into my systems and we are good to go. This step could very well fit in the previous section on building systems, but I like to spend a lot of time figuring out my lesson policies because I think they are absolutely critical to building a successful studio. And in 2021, I think this is more important than ever before because not only are we navigating the regular challenges of teaching in person, but it's likely that you're going to have to create some policies for online teaching if you're getting started anytime before probably September. I know it makes people uncomfortable, but these policies are basically a guideline as to how your studio functions, and when your students and parents read this information, that helps them get on the same page as you with expectations and guidelines for studio behavior. I've gotten myself into situations in the past with having lenient policies where students and parents have tried to take advantage of loopholes or possible ways of getting around some of my expectations. And as much as I love to think of my students and parents as being people that don't take advantage of me, they will take advantage of me. So my point here is to get as clear and detailed as possible with your studio policies so that you and your families can all be on the same page, you can have a really productive working relationship, and that no one feels like they're getting taken advantage of from either direction. The very next thing I'm going to want to do if I'm starting out my private lesson teaching studio in 2021 is to set appropriate price points for my work. And I do have a couple of videos on these topics specifically. I'll link them above and in the description below. But in short, I want to make sure that my rates are appropriate for my area, for my level of expertise, and for my experience as a teacher. In order to figure this out, I would do some research around what the going rates are in my area. I'm then going to use that information as a starting point for calculating my rates. And I'm going to be factoring things like my education, my teaching experience, my student outcomes, all of that stuff to see where my rates are going to sit. Then I'm going to use that information to evaluate my offers. So if price points are a little on the lower side, I might think about doing things like group lessons or paired lessons or just shorter time frames for my lessons. If there's a little more freedom and flexibility within the price points, I can then adjust my offers to suit that. Depending on what you want to offer and where you want to sit in that market, you can actually tailor your offers to suit the price points that are appropriate for where you are. One of the very next things I'm going to want to do in 2021 if I'm building out my business is to have an online presence. That includes things like having a website, having strategically planned social media channels, and of course setting up an email for people to connect with you. Having an online digital presence for your business is going to act like a virtual business card. This is where people can learn more about you, hear more about what it is that you do, and find out what it is that you're offering them. I still can't believe that I'm getting people asking me whether or not a website is important in 2021, and absolutely it is. I will also say you need to buy your own domain name. It really doesn't cost that much, but having your own personalized domain name and then having an email address associated with that is going to make your business presence look super legitimate, and people are going to trust their communication with you. Believe it or not, even in 2021, people are amazed by other people who have websites. So if I'm setting up my private lesson teaching business in 2021, this is going to be one of the most important things that I establish so I can establish my legitimacy as a business. I'm also going to say this here, use social marketing strategically as part of your online presence and not as the sole presence that you have. You want to make sure that your social media is directing people to your website, which is where they can connect with you and buy from you and work with you, and that's what's really important here. Over the last 15 years, I've tried basically everything that I can think of to recruit new students, and some of the most successful strategies have involved actually getting out in front of my students and showing them what I do. So, something that I would do if I was starting out my studio this year and trying to find students is to go and meet them where they are. That means find them in their schools, find them in their community programs, be present and help them see just how awesome you are and the work that you can offer them so that they get excited to work with you. So what I would do if I was starting out this year is reach out to their band directors, their community music program directors, and ask if I could get in front of them in a masterclass or play for them or communicate with them directly so they can see what it is that I'm about and what I can offer them. If I had the chance to get in front of students, whether that's an email, a sticker, something really fun to get them excited about learning more about what I do, and then directing them to my website so they can find out more about how they can actually work with me to build out their musical goals. Yes, I'm talking about marketing to the student. I would also be considering how can I market to the parents or the band directors or the classroom music teachers, figure out how I can get in touch with them and tell them what I'm offering as well. Remember, parents and band directors are the key to the students, so you have to meet them where they are as well. There are two really important things I want you to remember if you are looking to recruit students or build your studio this year. One is that build it and they will come does not work. You cannot establish yourself, set up shop, and then hope that people are going to just show up on your door without doing any of the work first. Not going to happen. You have to go and find your people. The second thing that I want you to remember here is that it takes on average between 7 and 12 times for someone to see something for them to interact with it. So if you're only showing up once in front of these students or band directors or parents, they're not likely to actually sign up for lessons with you because they don't know who you are still. You want to make sure that you are consistently showing up in their circles so that then they can see, oh, this is someone who is interested in me, who is around where I am, and I know they're awesome because I've seen the work they do multiple times. One quick thing before we go today, I am going to be releasing some really exciting stuff for private lesson teachers in the coming months. If you are someone who's looking to build out your private studio in 2021, I want to encourage you, go ahead and click the link in the description that says I want to build my private studio in 2021. Super long link, it's there, you'll get it. And enter your information to jump on the mailing list to find out more about that as it pops up. So friends, if you found today's video helpful or interesting, please go ahead and click that like and subscribe button to let me know. And if you know anyone who's looking to build their private lesson teaching studio in 2021, go and forward this video to them. They might find it helpful and then they'll thank you, and so we all win. As always, it's been fun hanging out with you today, and I'm so glad that the audio worked on this version of the video, and I shall see you again for another video next Thursday. See you later. Oops.